Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Denise. I hope that you're all doing well. I'm coming on here to record the message that I talked to you guys about yesterday in yesterday's video about generations and how we inherit generational patterns and habits and so on and so forth. Basically, as you know, that generationally we don't only carry our physical traits that are from our caregivers. You come out with the eyes of your dad, and you come out with the smile of your mom, but not only physically do you inherit, but you also inherit the patterns and the habits that at an early age you experienced, right? And around those habits and patterns, you created a false identity, a persona that you show up into the world with, right? Let's say that you were traumatized or you were abused as a child. You build defense mechanisms around that to self-protect, creating you to live in a survival mode state of existence. And what happens is that generationally, we acquire these patterns, but in the bloodline, there are people that simply do not break the pattern. They continue to repeat, and it's a sick cycle that continues to repeat until there's that generational curse breaker that comes into the bloodline to break that generational curse from it repeating itself. So what happens is that when that individual on an unconscious level, actually, you take it on, you start to awaken to the reality of that this was never me. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like the proper way of existing. And you start to question your reality, and you start to question everything. But with that questioning and with waking up, which is something that a lot of people don't talk about, is the price that comes with waking up. The price that comes with waking up is that everything in that bloodline is going to come up against you. In other words, let's say that someone's an alcoholic, right? Because in their bloodline, they had the tendency of alcoholism, right? So what happens is that you're fighting this temptation. You're fighting not to continue on with this circumstance. And what happens is that it will continue to show up just to taunt you, to make sure that you are ready to break that off of your bloodline, right? And then once you actually do that, you actually stand forward with the conviction of, I'm really going to do this. I'm not repeating this. This is not a part of who I am. I don't identify with these behaviors. And you are that curse breaker. You start to shift energetically. You start to vibrate higher. And then those that are in your immediate circle start to say, well, before I used to be able to manipulate them. Before I used to be able to taunt them with this. Before, this person was, easy to manipulate, easy this, easy that. And then the higher that you vibrate, the more people that you leave behind. So it starts to hurt, and you start to wonder and say, well, what is it that happened? I just don't allow these things anymore. I'm vibrating higher. I'm respecting myself. I have self-worth. I have healthy boundaries. I'm vibrating in my Christ-like authority, right? And then what happens is that a lot of people start falling off your boat. You start feeling isolated, and you start feeling different, and you start feeling like you don't fit into the circles that you did before, because those circles were toxic. Those circles were embracing the old versions of you that you are now ready to let go of, right? So it's almost like a snake shedding its skin. You go leaving every aspect of you behind that no longer is serving you. We are constantly evolving, constantly shifting. But in the spirit realm, they know when your life force goes off, when you wake up to your actual identity, to who you really are, beyond the physical, beyond the illusion. It's deeper than you could possibly imagine. And then once that life force goes off, everybody comes out of the woodworks because they want to siphon your energy. They want to feed off of your life force in order to impede you from elevating. Anything and everything will be thrown at you to avoid your ascension. And that is what I'm here to teach you. And that's why I post these videos. I have been there. I have done that. And the only way to ascend is when you start vibrating high, you stay away from low vibrational things, you align with your higher self, because there is a higher version of you. Remember, these are timelines. We are in different timelines. You jump timelines every time you correct something within you, that you stop operating from a false state of existence. When you come out and you are authentically you, regardless of who agrees or disagrees. Turning around and telling somebody, oh, I'm an earth angel. A lot of people will look at you like, what? Like, huh? It took me about a whole minute to say, what are you talking about? Like, how can this be possible? Until I started to dig and connect the dots, that this was always there. My patterns, my childhood habits, what was actually always shining and showing me, hey. That's why I recommend you guys to do an Akashic Records, to get them looked into, because you're going to learn so much about yourself, right? And, I'm not going to tell you that it's an easy journey, because it's not. It is not, because this is not for the faint of heart. But living in those states of existence, when the planet is going through such a big evolution, where energy is everything, and your vibration is who you are. It's your signature. It's your stamp in the world. It's how you show up. We're going to come to a state of existence where low vibrations are not going to be tolerated anymore. Relationships that are seated in convenience and not authenticity. And yes, there's going to be a lot of people falling from the wayside. It's the split. It's people that want to continue in the programming because that's how they feel safe. You need to understand that, safety in that sense of existence has a price. It's like everybody following the herd, but at what cost? What good is a man to gain the world if he loses his soul? What good is it if everybody agrees to being programmed, agrees to this state of existence, agrees, when you are so much more that you could be living your best life, that you could be, experiencing, the divine in its fullest. There is no reason. Just like artificial intelligence, look at the word artificial intelligence. They're trying to literally rewrite humanity, to create a version of humans desensitized from source, from the creator, from your creator, to the point where everything is digital. You could have a whole robot inside your house and need for no companionship of another human vessel, where humanity was created to connect to each other. And little by little, everybody is agreeing. Jobs are falling off. People that used to work, their regular jobs, and even having a 9-to-5 job is also a matrix mentality. It's a low vibrational mentality, even though we live in a physical plane where this is the material realm. But you cannot get attached to material, because the day that you leave this planet, you don't take your house, you don't take your car, you don't take your possessions. I'm not telling you that being fruitful, that's not what I'm saying. Being fruitful is what you should be embodying, but not anchoring yourself to it to a degree where you're not living. You know, back in the days, our ancestors used to live longer lives because they used to eat straight from the ground, you know, vegetables and stuff. Our foods are being poisoned with so much pesticide. Everything is to keep you distracted and entertained while your energy is being siphoned, while your life force is being taken. You know, you need to understand about elites and covens and the forces that don't want you to wake up. Because as long as you're not waking up, they're thriving, because they're feeding off of it, because they keep you maintained in a low state of being. And it comes all the way back from your ancestors that were programmed to accept this, that were programmed. Everything was it's been a program for a long time. That's why Mother Gaia is like, I've had it. And that's why you see a lot of things taking place on the planet, because it has to happen, and it's happening in places that hold and sustain a lot of dense energy, a lot of karma. If you look at Cuba and the fact that it had an earthquake there, you need to understand that that was a place that was controlled by a government that took it over and mentally taught Cubans to believe in the low vibrational states of existence, in lack and scarcity. There's so much scarcity there. It goes far beyond, and it's at a collective level. So your awakening is important, very important. I don't come on here and share my energy and share my time with you because I don't see the importance of it. It's how much are you going to let yourself be desensitized? How much are you going to allow them to rewrite humanity? To rewrite the connection between people, the loving each other unconditionally. You know, it's like, remember, Joshua says, greater is he that is in me that is in the world. What is he saying? That God is in you. Greater is he that is in me. And if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Why? Because the Father was in him like he's in you. Royalty is in your DNA. You are just sleepwalking through the earth, accepting and believing, because that is what you were taught. And you're not seeking. That's why we perish for lack of wisdom. We perish for lack of digging and trying to understand. And I give you the tools and the keys to be able to go through your spiritual awakening. If everything has come at you, I'm here. I get it. I get it. The biggest forces that you could think of. Everything starts falling off the sides. You're not understanding what's going on. You feel isolated and alone. You know, you're questioning everything. It's like, why do I feel different? You start seeing sequences and numbers and patterns. It goes on and on and on. Spiritual awakening is to literally put you into a dark night of the soul and strip you from everything that you built a false identity around. You're not that person. You need to understand that, you need to have healthy boundaries in relationships. You need to honor yourself. You need to look at your vessel as the kingdom of heaven. You need to see it as what it is. This is your temple. This is where your soul resides. And what it is that you're going to do with it. It goes deeper. We have been sometimes comfort at the expense of your life force. I mean, we got to look at the wager. So I come on here and I created this channel to bring awareness, to bring you guys back to Christ conscious, to bring you guys back into your soul print, into who you truly divinely are. If you're seeing repeated sequences and numbers, that is your awakening. That is the call. That's the universe responding to you. God is the universe. We are all one. There is no you. It's God expressing himself through you. You are a divine being. Simple programming of patterns and habits and generations of doing it over and over. Somehow through the crack, everybody built a persona. And the moment that you opened your eyes to existence, that you started to see how your mom and your dad or your caregiver, whomever that was, behaved in a certain way, you adapted it as a personality. Oftentimes it's a disordered personality, but a false one at that. And you need to decide whether you want to continue to adapt it, whether you want to continue that pattern, or whether you want to break away from it. And as far as humanity is concerned, if you guys want to live on a planet desensitized from a hug, desensitized from, not knowing what true love is. Because love is something that you connect between two people. Between the all, actually. And it's slowly but surely right in front of you being controlled. To a point where, people are looking at it as some type of evolution. It's not. They're rewriting it. Rewriting humanity. Rewriting the original blueprint. Now, what part of that are you going to embrace and take? You're going to stand for your family. You're going to stand not to be rewritten and say, you know what? This isn't natural. This doesn't feel right. And that's your soul calling out to you and saying, hey, it starts and ends with you. So it's more than just a generational that we look like our caregivers, like our parents. Generationally in our bloodline, we carry lineages of patterns, of habits, of stories that you came here to rewrite them, to put them straight. And yes, forces will try to stop you, because the point is that you don't ascend, because the higher you go, the less they can catch you. So I'm here to embrace you at that point. If you have questions, if you feel alone, if you've faced things that are unimaginable, I have too. I have had the most horrendous things tried and attempted. People have attempted things against my being. And the divine has taken care of that. I don't waste my time. I know who, I know when, I know where, I know everything. It's good just to play along. But I don't engage in the vibrational things. I just simply don't. My energy is worth way too much. My life force, my vitality, my purpose on this planet is worth way more than entertaining anything low vibrational. But it took a lot to get here. It wasn't a cakewalk. It was a dark night of the soul. It was a facing that there were things that just couldn't go with me where I was going. And sometimes it's people. Sometimes it's your own relatives. Your closest family starts to look at you like you're weird. And it's because you were the one that woke up and they still want to continue sleeping. That is the price of awakening. But you want me to tell you something? It's better to be awake and knowing that you're going in that right direction than to stay behind. So you're either going to ascend or you're going to stay behind. But there's a choice. There is a choice. I'm here for you. If you have any questions, if there's something that I could possibly do to help on your journey, leave it in the comments section. I like to reply to all the comments so that you don't feel alone. I know what that feels like. I will keep coming on here and recording videos and messages as like I said, as I get downloads. I am doing the dream interpretations. I have an ability of the fact that that's part of my gifts. I dream things and I see them come into fruition within the day. Sometimes too, they're coming in actually much quicker than normal. I mean, to the point that, you know, I'll be talking to somebody on the phone and they'll tell me I'll call you back, and I'll go to sleep, and all of a sudden I'll doze off and have a dream, and I wake up and tell them, hey, you know, I just had this dream about this, that, and the third, and they're like, what? That just happened to me. That kind. When you are a spiritual being and you are enlightened, it comes with a lot more than that. I can feel energy. I can sense people. I just need to be within your proximity, and I will know your full story without you having to tell me. So that comes with being an angelic being in a human body. And there's a lot of us. A lot. There's 144 angels and a lot more than you can possibly imagine that are in the veil and that haven't woken up to who they truly are. And that's what I'm here for. You know, when Jeshua was here, he's a teacher. He was a teacher to teach us the way. And they turned his teachings into a religion. To monetize off of people's suffering. You know, but his teachings were about unconditional love, were about who you are. You know, he said, careful who you treat, as you may be treating an angel in human form. I mean, there's so much to his teachings that we do not really look at a metaphorical level. You know, instead it's, you know, a religion that's constantly crucifying him and, you know, putting him on a cross when he came to teach us enlightenment. You know, and I understand, because I was a churchgoer. You know, I grew up going to church, but I grew up questioning things that started not to make sense. I was like, this just doesn't make sense. Living in a world where people are slowly but surely becoming more desensitized, you know, it's like a programming. And then every time I go into something, I uncover something more. It's like, where does it end? To, you know, where? You guys open your eyes. There's covens, elites. You know, there's people around you that look at you in the face and don't wish you well. You know, but what did he say? Forgive them, for they not know what they do. Those people that are coming against you are sleeping. They are spiritually asleep. Like you were before you woke up. It goes deeper. I'm the messenger to wake you up, to walk with you, and to tell you you can make it. Yes, you can, and yes, you will. I did. I've come this far, and I will continue to go farther. So I hope this message reaches you. I hope that you sit there and connect the dots. A lot of my